when there are so big changes, there are opportunities. So you can experiment a lot of different tactics with link building without directly affecting your website. Python is the best language. Start with scripting because it will be immediately useful for what you do, for data collection, for everything that you have to do. If I had to start my career right now, I would focus on local SEO. It's a huge opportunity right now.
Linkhouse, more than link building platform.
Hello guys, it's Tom from Linkhouse. I'm here with Massimiliano Geraci. It's a pleasure having you here.
Hello.
Hello. So basically we've prepared a few questions across the SEO and conference as well.
Yep.
So it's the second day of the conference. We'll talk about it later. But first of all, who is Massimiliano Geraci? And what can you do to the Polish audience? What can you tell about yourself to the Polish audience?
Yeah. So I started as a researcher at the university 20 years ago. I specialized in computational linguistics and in models, mathematical models to investigate social phenomena.
Okay.
After I resigned from the university, I created an agency in northern Italy, Bologna, and I started doing SEO maybe 10 years ago or so. In the last couple of years, when natural language processing, machine learning started to be a thing in the SEO field, I integrated what I studied and I researched during my experience at the university with SEO. So I worked a lot with machine learning, with text analysis, stuff like that. And I did it for clients, for my agency, but I also started to consult big agencies to update their system and integrate machine learning and automation inside their processes.
Okay, that's interesting. And when it comes to spending free time, what about your passions and hobbies? I don't know, maybe, we are into football, being, Italian is a pretty common thing. So
it is, but I'm not a proper Italian in that sense. Yeah. I love reading, I love writing.
Okay.
I'm a novel writer. I wrote a couple science fiction novels translated in Spanish and English, published in Italian. And I also been and still be an art curator. I curated a couple of art books for the Italian and US markets.
Okay, that's really interesting.
That's my main passion.
Really interesting. Kyle Roof told us that he's really into, science fiction as well and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I am in dystopic science fictions. I wrote about AI since maybe 15 years now. And many of the things I wrote about in my first novel are actually real technologies nowadays.
Amazing. So what about your speech? Can you give us some kind of sneak peek about that? What do you think about the reaction? Because I was speaking to many people in terms of your speech, and everyone was like, "Yeah, wow, that was something. That was a thing."
Yeah. My speech was about the so-called SEO stacking.
Mm-hmm.
SEO stacking is a common and general term to indicate different tactics based on layering web properties and interconnecting them in a specific way for two reasons. First reason is to establish and corroborate your business entity, creating a sort of collective presence. So you have different digital assets and you interconnect them and you centralize them in a hub, maybe on the cloud. I'm focused mainly on cloud stacking, but there is also Google stacking, PR stacking, other stacking techniques, and they can be combined together. The other reason to use it is as buffer, so as protective layers between your money site, your site, and link building. It is a way to absorb the fluctuations caused by Google trying to catch link manipulation. So you can experiment a lot of different tactics with link building without directly affecting your website. If something bad happens, you just disconnect your external buffer and your rankings will be there in a couple of weeks, sometimes 1 month. And so I like to experiment things, and it's necessary when you want to experiment to have something that prevent to affect directly the site.
Okay. So the next question is pretty general, but also precise one. So Python in SEO. So I think last year we have seen a big increase in this topic.
Yeah.
Nowadays, SEO specialists should learn Python. And what's your point of view? Because I think you're a good person to ask about it.
Yes. The real master in this field was Hamlet Batista, that is not with us anymore, unlikely. He really created this Pythonistas movement. He was the first one SEO really using Python. I started using Python as a researcher just to implement data analysis techniques, text analysis techniques. But Python can be used in SEO for essentially 2 things. The first thing is scraping and automation, and it's the best framework to use for doing that, so you can collect data. That is the first point, massively, at scale, easily. The second point, and you can automate processes too. The process you can automate can be everything. You can collect data, create a data frame, and just filter it. Instead of using limited things like tools like Excel, you can manipulate a data frame in a much more advanced way. And this is the first thing you can do with Python. The first thing I say to friends or colleagues that want to start with Python is start with scraping. Start with scraping because it will be immediately useful for what you do, for data collection, for everything that you have to do with the data. For example, you want to optimize, so you want to scrape your competitors and then analyze what they are doing and implement it. The second reason to use Python is for data analysis. In the past, data analysis was something just for analyze numbers, so in the analytics field, essentially. But today, thanks to machine learning and specifically the technology called embedding, word embeddings, that is a technology to translate text into numbers, so-called vectors. Now we can analyze and process these numbers that are a representation of the text. So Python is the best language because it's adopted by the AI and machine learning research community. So there are so many libraries available. You don't have to understand the mathematics behind it. You can just use the ready-made libraries, and easily enough you can analyze your text. Just to discover, for example, you scrape 10 competitors and you implement a library to ask the system which are the words, the more representative keywords inside this corpus of text. Which are the keywords I should use to optimize my text? What the on-page optimization tool are doing, like Surfer SEO or whatever. When they suggest keywords, it's simply scraping competitors and applying some topic modeling techniques. So statistical techniques to extract the topics from a corpus of text. This is the first thing you should do with Python and data analysis for text. And third thing is interact with LLMs. So use AI with their own APIs. You don't have to rely on tools that have their own way to do things. You can decide what you want to do. You can generate your prompt chains, calls the API, and do this with Python. Okay.
So what is the best way for a SEO specialist to learn Python actually? Because, that's the things that you are talking about. That seems to be a little bit complicated for, I think, a lot of people.
Sure. They seem to be, but today is possible to learn really fast. The starting point can be a course. I suggest to go to the university course. They are available on YouTube too for free. Harvard releases a lot of courses. Do a basic one to understand the concepts, the general concepts of programming. I mean, how to define a variable, how to create a loop, stuff like that, the basic things. Then go with GPT. But not for just asking it to generate the code for you. It's something that you can do, but if you don't understand the structure of the code, you cannot judge what it's doing. But once you know the basics, you can also ask GPT, okay, generate the code for me, but explain what's going on. What are you doing and why? And so it can be a really valuable teacher.
Okay.
And now that they have, this data analysis module that is a sandbox to execute the code, you can immediately see the results of the generated code. You can also generate the code on your own, give it to GPT and execute it and tell me what's going on there, or help me to debug it, stuff like that. So try to create a prompt, custom instruction for GPT to act as a teacher, as a Python teacher for you. This is really the fastest way to learn it.
Okay. Yeah. It seems to be not that complicated from the other hand. Yeah. So
just start doing it. You'll see that if it's clear what you want, the goal is clear, the general structure of what you want is clear, you can just ask GPT and you will have your first working script. And at that point, the satisfaction will be so high that you will continue to study it and to learn. Because the problem for the beginners is that for the first months, you can just code something to say hello, and it's not worth. It's for SEO, for professionals. You don't have enough time. But if in 1 week you can have a couple of scripts that automate something that you need to automate, and so they free some of your time, dedicate the time that you save to continue to study. The reward using AI is immediate. I have a fantastic team of developers, old school developers, and I train them to use AI much more than they do, because they think, oh, I can code, why should I? They are also a little bit scared to discover that AI is better than them. This is a big block for them. They sometimes send me code, oh, there is some bug somewhere, can you help me to find a bug? Okay, I ask GPT, I answered them in 10 minutes, and they say, how is possible? You are the fastest debugger in the world. Not. It's GPT. Really? Yeah, it is. You have to use it. So I created an account for all of them, and I trained them a lot to ask.
You also found a way to convince them that this is really useful for them.
Absolutely.
In many ways.
Absolutely. For example, you have to implement a new library. You have to use something new. You have to study 20 pages of documentation. You have to spend your weekend in studying it. No. Upload the documentation to GPT and start querying it. Ask what you need. Don't read everything, just what you need. It will teach you.
Okay. So tell me, Max, what is worth focusing on nowadays in SEO, in your point of view?
Yeah, to be totally honest, if I had to start my career right now, I would focus on local SEO. Because local SEO is much more standardizable, the tactics you need to rank. And also the domain authority that we know from Google leaks, that is a thing, they score it in some way. We don't know how they do, but they score it. And also the backlinks, they're expensive. In local SEO, you can do great things with a more limited budget. And also when there is a real business, you can be totally safe from any update, because Google knows that you have something, you have a brand, you sell something, you have a shop or whatever. And so if you do the things correctly, you will never lose your traffic.
Okay.
So content, affiliate, that was a big part of my SEO experience in the last years, is not a thing anymore. Or the barrier to start are so high that I discourage new young SEO to start from there. Start with local. Can be for another business, can be a rank and rent model, can be just an exercise, but it's a huge opportunity right now. I test a lot in the US market with some partners. SERP domination project, that means I have a client I put in the first position, and I create another 5, 6, 10 websites just for generate leads for it, and occupied 5, 6, 7 spots on the SERP.
Okay, amazing. So is there any real SEO value in implementing structured data? And is there a way you recommend to use them?
Yeah, this is a topic that I really love. Many SEO are convinced that there is no real value. But the point is, if you use a plugin like the SEO plugins for WordPress, Yoast, Rank Math, they will generate a very standard and basic structured data that is the same for every website. Structured data is not intended for this. Structured data is a vocabulary created by a consortium of all the search engines, Yahoo, Yandex, Microsoft, Bing, Google, for a specific reason. It's a fast way for them to understand what's going on digital documents, so web page, website, whatever. You have to define, to tell a story, to craft a digital narrative that they can understand. And it has to be really tailor-made to your specific page in many different ways. A thing that you can do if the goal of your website, it's a content website, so you wanted the Google understand what you are talking about. You can insert inside your structured data the main entities on the page and link them to public knowledge bases like Wikidata, Wikipedia, the Google Knowledge Graph. The Google Knowledge Graph rely on this kind of public knowledge bases. The biggest part of the entities contained in the knowledge graph are from Wikidata. Okay. So if you do this thing that is called, in natural language processing, we call it entity linking. So it's simply putting the URL of the same main entity, the topic of your page. You point to the page on Wikidata or Wikipedia describing the entity. This is a way for disambiguate. So Google will know which is the intended focus of the page. Otherwise, it has to scan the whole page and try to understand. People think that Google can understand because of the AI, the LLM. That's not the case at all. Google just analyzed the page in a statistical way. Representative words, bag of words is called, again, natural language process. They expect that if the topic is X, is restaurant, some words should be there because all the sites that are tied to a restaurant have those words based on analytical statistics. And so structured data are a more direct way to express your topics. The second reason to implement structured data is to connect all your business assets. So if you have social media, satellite websites, and whatever, you connect them using specific properties and types. And so you show to Google that your brand is a unit of different things together. And when they start to work together, your entities is much more clear for Google because Google, using machine learning, needs repetition and repetition and repetition to finally understand which is your entity without any ambiguity and decide to put it inside this knowledge graph and maybe the knowledge panel. That is the window that you can see on the SERP when you search for a brand or for an entity that is recognized. So my recommendation is write your own structured data. And again, here, learn the basic. Just go on schema.org, study the structure. The structure is simple. You have types, you have properties. You can look at the general structured data, for example, for an article, for whatever you want, for an FAQ session, for a real estate, for a product in an e-commerce. Understand which are the properties, and then go to GPT and ask to generate the structured data for you. But don't be generic. Don't ask to generate structured data for an article type. Tell, it's an article. I want you to include this property, this other property, this other one. Just check against the page on schema.org. Once you decide what you want to show Google, then GPT will tailor-made something for you. Don't use the plugin. Just generate the structured data page by page and inject them in the heading, the header part, the other section of your HTML code.
Okay, my next question is about the most underestimated factors. So we can probably relate this question to the structured data, I think.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, for the first time, Google released a use case document on their blog demonstrating how a specific website introducing structured data, specifically video object structured data, increased the traffic by 30%. We have a couple of interesting studies demonstrating that it can impact the ranking. It can impact the traffic. Obviously, the point sometimes is just that you can compete for a specific spot, a special spot on the SERP because they have carousels, they have not anymore the FIQ or whatever, the video object. Yeah. But it's not all, do not use them just because you want to win something immediately. They change over time. Yeah. They can release a new special feature. For example, right now I work in tourism. And if you have a list of hotels, houses for rental, apartments, whatever, they just released this new feature, this new carousel. If you implemented the structured data, you'll be the first to have this kind of spots. Generally speaking, webmasters are very slow to adopt these new things. So start thinking at it today, implement everything, even if it's not for an immediate win, but you'll have your results.
Okay, so the next question is about linking profile. From your point of view, what is the ideal linking profile? Maybe some advices in terms of that.
Yeah. One of the points is always diversify. Diversify your sources. So you can have your foundational links, the very basic ones, so social media, web tool, properties. Start with them. 100, no problem at all. Start with them. Another good source is press release. Press release, just distribution campaigns. Because in this way, you can obtain a lot of different domains, and the domain diversity is a point. From the leak to, we know that they consider the diversity of the domains pointing to you. And the quickest, fastest way to diversify and have a lot of also high authority domains pointing to you is doing press releases. So I start with a social fortress, so a lot of social properties, foundation of my backlink. Then couple of PR, just to say there is this new website or this new service page we just launched or whatever you want. And then you can start to do guest posts for sure, a great source of links, and proper PR, I mean connection with journalists to try to attract them in many different ways. What I always do is steering the backlink. Okay. I never do just one tier. If I buy a guest post, I build a couple of tier 2 backlinks to it. They can be cheapest link, like very good PBN links. I tend to create my own PBNs that are based on dropped domains. I rebuild them, I populate with some new content, and then I use them for linking my first tier of links, my guest posts, essentially. And I do the same with the press releases to avoid the so-called link decay. Press releases stay there for just 4 months, 6 months, then the distributors want to delete them because their business is to sell thousands of this. But if there are some tier 2 backlinks pointing to it, they will not delete them. Okay. And third point in link building for me, a very important factor, a very not considered by SEO, is that the link must be crossed by traffic. If a guest post link, even from a website with a decent traffic, but from a page that is orphaned and nobody will visit it and will go from the guest post to your money site, the value of the backlink is so because it's not useful for people in the eyes of Google. But if you do some specific campaigns, it can be bot traffic. It can be real people, microservices, Amazon Tark, whatever you want. Just tell people, go on this page. This is my guest post. Just click here. Send me a screenshot demonstrating that you did it. You did click to my page. Once you click on the link, the value of it is really different. I had the opportunity to test it massively on more than 1,000 backlinks with a company called Agent Assassin. That is a bot traffic tool. It works. You can go from page 2, position 18 to page 1, position 8 really easily. But if you are at the bottom of first page, in that case, you can just do 1, 2 more positions, but not more than that. But for moving from page 2 to page 1 is really effective. Go steady with the traffic. Don't activate the link just sending, 3 clicks and that's it. Because, again, it will be demoted in a few months if the traffic stops to go through the link. But if you keep the traffic going just a few links per month, it will work.
Okay, so how many tiers are you doing? Up to how many tiers? 3 or 4?
I generally go for 3. But sometimes, if I really want to hammer, be very fast, I go with 7. I go with 7. I use automation tools for that. It's changed the kind of, sources I use. The more distant is the tier from the money site, the cheapest link I build, or the easiest link I build. An important thing is the anchor text. As we know now from the leak again, Google measures the spike in the anchor text and also the diversification. The spike means it sees that from nowhere 10 new anchor text appear and then nothing happens. It's not good at all. You have to dilute, to drip feed your campaigns, and you have to avoid the exact match pointing directly to your money site. Okay, you can analyze the SERP. If your competitors are doing some exact match, you can replicate the ratio. But with tier 2 and tier 3, you can be more aggressive, much more aggressive. That is another important point.
Interesting perspective. So 2024 is the year that a lot have been happening in Google. So leaks, the algorithm changes, AI overviews. So what do you think about those things? Because it's just June and so many just happened.
Yeah, some big things, some are good, some are less good. But first of all, when there are so big changes, there are opportunities somewhere. So instead of just staying there crying for your crashed website, I lost half of my portfolio of affiliation sites. I've sold a couple of them just before the September update. I was super lucky, but I've lost a couple of them. How can we respond? We have to study and try to figure out what's going on. And it's not the recovery part. I'm not interested in the recovery of my old projects. I was just to change and to find the new opportunities. And a big opportunity is there is this convergence between search, or technically speaking, information retrieval, that is how a search engine works, and machine learning and AI. And we have to figure out how to stand now that the old tactics cannot work because there is a re-ranking process made by the AI that has totally different rules. First thing that you have to do is build a brand. If you have a brand, you will be safe for normal information retrieval and also for AI. And this is also why you have to create something around your main website, many different properties, speaking about your brand, generating brand search. You can do this with social campaigns. You can do this with bot traffic, whatever you want. But Google don't want to let you monetize the traffic anymore. They don't want, the traffic is their asset. They want to monetize it. Stop. So if your traffic is if your business is just based on monetizing traffic, no, you have to change your model. You have to sell something, or you have just to establish a brand. For example, something that is working right now, I have a couple of e-commerces, the blogs of the e-commerces works great. The same identical AI-generated content put on a Shopify blog is indexed immediately and works. So be creative.
Yeah.
You want to do affiliate? Great, do affiliate. Create a little shop. Create a drop shipping shop. Stay on a platform like Shopify. Don't stay on WordPress for a simple reason. Shopify has an agreement with Google to be crawled intensively. I published a Shopify shop 2 months ago, 2,000 pages. Maybe 70% of it was indexed in 1 week.
Okay.
It's impossible to have this kind of result with a brand new WordPress website. So do print on demand, do drop shipping, create an e-com section, do branding. Don't consider Google your only channel to get traffic. Use the socials, create a conversation around your brand. You can do this in many ways. You can even pay for it. You can buy a panel, so-called SMM panel, to have social share, comments, likes, whatever you want, but create a buzz, a conversation around your brand, because your brand needs to be a recognized entity. Once Google think, okay, you are a business, you are doing something leveraging traffic, but it's not the traffic, the business.
Okay.
The business has to be something different. So e-com is great, local is great because it's real business, but even affiliate can be good. For my old martial arts website, I did a print-on-demand shop just to sell, gadgets, t-shirts related to martial arts. It worked incredibly well. It boosted the whole website because it started to say, okay, you sell things, you do a business, you are a retailer.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm an affiliate.
Yeah. So we need to find a way to do the same thing, but in different shape.
Yes.
Yeah. So Max, the last question: how do you see the future of SEO and the link building as well, in general?
Yeah. SEO, again, there will be this convergence between AI and SEO. We'll see more hybrid form of search engines. Search will be everywhere, not only on the browser or on the Google homepage. You will be searching from your Microsoft Office, for example. You're writing a document. Why have I to open a browser if I can search directly from Word? And this is what Microsoft is doing. So search will be everywhere, and the search habit from people will change. The way to be there will always be through branding. Once you have a brand, once the machine learning has enough data to study and be trained on that talks about your brand, they will be able to answer about your brand. One thing that you can know if you have a brand is create a set of questions and do them to GPT and the other models to Claude, just to know what they know about my brand. And if they know something that is not the angle or the way that I want to represent my brand, start creating content and spread it on different assets. So in the next round of training, the LLM will keep the information and understand what you do. Disconnect with link building, because you cannot be the only source of your talking about yourself. Link building will forever be very important. Google continues to say that links are not so important. They demoted it. Yeah, maybe with, thousands of factors. It was factor 8. Now it's factor 20.
Yeah.
But what is the point?
Yeah.
Over thousands of factors is in the top 10, 20.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We know from even recent studies that the top ranking website have at least 50 to 1,000 different domains. Again, domain diversification pointing to that. So doing link building in a proper way, that is also buying links. Don't be scared to admit to buy links. I talk with link builders with incredible clients. They buy links.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. You have to do it in a proper way.
Yeah.
You can maximize and diversify, also generating natural backlink with amazing articles, amazing content that attract journalists. Sure. But yeah, continue to buy them, do it in a proper way, pay attention to the anchors, and disseminate your brand so that when the LLMs will crawl you, because they have their crawlers, they'll crawl websites, they will find the same name that is your brand in a lot of different sources, and they will, because they learn by repetition. That's it. If they find your name in just one document or just under one domain, they will ignore it.
Yeah.
If they'll find it in thousands, hundreds of places, they will learn.
Yeah.
And you can really influence every 3 months, 6 months, do the same questions, prepare your question set, do the same questions to the LLM, and try to understand how to influence it through PRs and LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so amazing. Thank you for your time, Max. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I hope that you are enjoying still the
Absolutely.
SEO Estonia conference. So yeah, thank you. Let's be in touch. Please subscribe on our channel and like this video, and see you soon.
See you. Thank you.
Hi, are you new to link building and don't know if Google penalizes websites selling links? Or do you want to delve more deeply into it and learn which non-obvious parameters you should use? Then let us tell you what we've learned after publishing 100,000 guest posts. Well, actually over 300,000. And don't forget to register on linkhouse.net to discover what possibilities cooperation with Linkhouse can bring to your business.